Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to Card Making Project 530, and I'd just like to say Happy Christmas. I know I'm out of season, but we're going to be making a gorgeous Christmas card today, and I just wanted to wish you all Happy Christmas. So the thing is, I know it's only August, but we're all itching to make something a little bit different. We had a couple of Christmas projects earlier, and the closer we get to Christmas, the more we're going to have. And today's project uses lots of older items, and it just goes to show that you can incorporate your older items, and if you've got some of the newer items, then you would be able to use those as well. So it's kind of very adaptive is this card today, and I think it's really pretty, and the colours in it, it's very Christmassy. I won't say traditional, but it is a beautiful card as today's, and it's kind of a great technique that you could take across into all occasion cards as well. So I think you'll like this one. Everything I do use I should put in a detailed list on my blog, so please be sure to check it out. There's also lots of photos as well of not only the outside of the projects but the inside as well. And I do take close-ups as close as I can get, just to sort of show you the layers and to remind you, and for maybe people don't always want to watch a video, they just want to see the photos and then think, oh, I could do that. So that's why I try and take so many photos, because that kind of shows what's, what you can do. So please follow me on Facebook. I've got all the links at the end. Please follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. You can always message me. I love hearing from you, and I love hearing that I inspire you and you get ideas, and maybe you don't always do the same as me, which is fine. We're all different, but maybe it just triggers something for you to think, oh, I could do that, and that's great. That's what it's all about. So please sit back and relax, and let's have a look at today's gorgeous project. So it's all about Christmas today, and I know it's out of season, but we've got to start making them at some point. And we're going to be using our Anna Griffin Christmas stamps, 39 clear stamps. We're going to be using an embossing folder from the Christmas arrangement set, and we're going to be using the holly medallions. Believe it or not, we're actually going to be using the beautiful Trimmings embossing folder. This was a set with dies and embossing folders from quite a while ago. And we're also going to be using this gorgeous swirl die, a very old die. This could be substituted for your fancy flourishes if you don't have this, or something very similar. But actually the items that we're using today are older items, but we're going to make such a beautiful card. I'm sure they could be substituted with lots of items that you have in your stash anyway. So the card that I've got is, believe it or not, a 6x6 inch card. I'm going to show you the size on my cardometer for my new viewers. The cardometer is something that I've come up with because I was asked to show the perspective of card sizes to somebody. And I thought, how can I do this in a way that would appeal to everybody? My cardometers are my idea and I've designed them, so it's like you'll only see them here. If you see them elsewhere, please let me know. But it gives you an idea of the size of the card. Now this is a 6x6 card, it's an Anna Griffin 6x6 card, and it is 6x6. Yay! I have a bugbear about buying 6x6 inch cards, and they're actually this big. They're a lot smaller. So this is a good card. It's an ivory base, and I've trimmed off 2 inches away from the front of our card. So it's got a flap at the front. So it was literally 2 inches that I've trimmed away. On the back of the card, I've used my handmade by stamp, and it says handmade by, and I've wrote my name, Anne-Marie. Don't worry about the number, that's the project number. So this is our card base that we're going to use. Now, before I do anything, even though it's Anna's card, I'm still going to use my bone folder to make sure that's a nice professional crease along the edge. And we're going to do the inside first, as always. Now the inside is really simple. I've taken some of the satin foil card from Anna, and I've embossed it using our beautiful Trimmings die, and then I could have used the die did I say die then? I meant embossing folder. I've used the beautiful trimmings embossing folder to emboss the side of the card. I could have used the die to take the pattern out of it, you know, to trim the edge to make it this pattern. But I've actually used my scissors because I wanted it very precise. And then I've left this section plain. I have got a mark on my card, and that's my own fault. So you won't see that when we're finished. I know some viewers will be writing to me to tell me that there's a mark on the card, but that's my own fault. I did that. So I shouldn't play with alcohol inks. So I've got double-sided tape on the back of it because it's going in as an insert, so I'd like this nice and flat. And what I did was I cut my cardstock to 6 by 6 inches, just short for the inside, and then I embossed it, and then I made sure it would fit. And I'm taking the pattern to the edge of the card like so, and that is the base for our insert. I've then taken a piece of ivory cardstock. I've stamped on it using our 39 clear Christmas stamps, not all of them. I've used one of them, and it says, "May your Christmas be merry and bright." I've inked around the edge, and then I've heat embossed with a gold embossing powder. I've got flat tape on the back, and just so you know that I am frugal, for the last couple of card projects we've used frames that I've cut away from cards. This is the back of the card that I've cut away, and you can see where it starts saying handmade by. So it was it the last project or the project before? I think it was the project before. We used some card frames, and I've saved the back of them to use as ivory cardstock for different things. I can pop this into the centre of my card and press it down, and that is our insert. How cool and quick. And the front folds neatly over the actual insert panel where you're going to write your message. Now on the front of the card where I've cut it down, you can see I've cut it down exactly 2 inches. I've got a piece of tape on the edge. I've done this because I thought this is the easiest way for me to do this, because our beautiful trimmings, I've embossed some gold metallic cardstock from Anna. Now normally I would be using it this way and doing this, and I'd have the glue on the back, and I wouldn't want to get it on the back of the card. So I thought we need to keep it nice and easy. So I'm putting the first piece of tape on the edge of the card, and I've trimmed part of the embossed pattern, and I'm going to add this to the card, and I want it to be on the tape but off the card, if that makes sense. And the pattern is the alternative pattern to what's already on the insert. So I'm going to simply pop it down, and then I'm going to trim it. There's going to be a lot of trimming on this one. So it's slightly bigger than the card. So we're just going to trim that edge, and we're going to turn it round and trim that edge. So that's our first layer. Now before I go any further, and before I forget, I've used the holiday arrangement embossing folder the Christmas arrangement holiday medallions in the same gold metallic cardstock, and I'm just going to add this to the edge of the card at the other side, so towards the fold edge. I've got flat tape on it. I'm going to press it down, and then I'm going to trim the excess away, and we can do that for that side. I'm using my Anna Griffin scissors from the Anna Griffin tool sets that has the bone folder and the trimmer in, that I don't know if it's still available. I know it was, and it was available at both sides of the pond. Okay, so that's trimmed now. We can go on to our next layer, which is the same cardstock as the insert layer. And again, I've embossed it and I've trimmed it to fit. And on the back of this, I've got flat tape and 3D foam. And the pattern is going to marry up now with the pattern on the insert. And we're just gonna go, see, I'm looking through a camera to marry mine up. You will be marrying yours up flat on your desk. And press that down, and I'm going to trim this one. As I say, there's a bit of trimming to do in this, but it will be perfect when it's finished. So trim that side, there we go. And then we can put our last panel on, which again is the gold embossed layer. Now this would work with any of your cardstocks and any colour. It just so happens I'm using the gold, and I think that must be about right there, maybe down a little bit, just getting that touch of green. There we go, press it down. That was on 3D foam and on flat tape. So again, we can trim the excess away at both sides. Just keep making sure that you can see me in camera. So that's when I pause a little bit and I look up to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so those are our layers. Now already, that looks gorgeous. We're just going to give it a little bit more gorgeousness. Now, do you remember I said about the swirl die, fretwork die? I've used Anna's gold foil cardstock. I've added a little bit of tape on it, and I'm going to use some wet glue. Now, my normal wet glue is Glossy Accents. I do like that. Sometimes, if I've run out, I have to use the white glue, the PVA glue. And then for flowers, because I get asked about glue all the time, silicone glue for flowers sometimes. If I'm actually making them, it's Glossy Accents, but to add them to a card, it's normally silicone for time when I'm, filming. So I'm going to add our gold swirl roughly about there. And I'm not bothered that it's not going to glue all over. I don't really want it flat. I want it to give me a bit of shadow. And it's going to have one of Anna's gorgeous vintage collage toppers over the front of it. So I just want it to pick up the edge of it. Now this is, as I said, one of the Christmas vintage toppers. I can't remember if they were last year or the year before. I have just trimmed it slightly. There was a little piece of background in the pattern. I've just trimmed that away slightly. I've got 3D foam on the back of it, and I'm just going to simply place that over the top of most of our gold swirl. So that's when I said you could use your fancy flourishes maybe if you don't have the gold swirl. You're only going to see the tip, but it just gives it that little bit extra, I think. And then the last thing I'm going to add is a bow. Now you're all going to be screaming, oh, put it here, put it here, put it here, here, here. I am going to put it here because I think it just sets it off there. It was just on 3D foam, and that finishes our card perfectly. And it's something very different. Nice shaped cards. I like shaped cards and cards with a bit of movement. If you can hear the train, it's just blowing its whistle. It's quite loud today. Very windy as well, actually. But But that's the inside of our card that matches perfectly, and it makes it, the shape, look as though it carries on through. You could trim the back of the card to match the actual shape of the embossed layer. But I just think that looks, I mean, it's so Christmassy. Stands up perfectly. It will definitely go on a mantelpiece. And it's easy to make. It's easy to put together. Now you've seen how. And if you have a lot of Christmas cards to make, you could die cut all these strips. And instead of using them on toner, you could use the same pattern and keep going. And it wouldn't be, you know, a nightmare to make a lot of them. But it's just a pretty card. I will take lots of photos of it, so please be sure to check my blog, because there'll be the full item list on there and all the ingredients that we've used to create this. And I know we're out of season for Christmas, but we have to put our heads in gear because it'll be here before we know it. And then it'll be full on Christmas all the time. So I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope it's given you some ideas, and I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.